CCSP exam practice questions. Domain 3. Cloud Platform and Infrastructure Security. Part 3. Question 1. An organization wants to implement authentication for their cloud infrastructure. Which of the following would be considered true multi-factor authentication? A. Password and security question. B. Password and RSA token. C. Password and PIN code. D. Password and pattern lock. Correct answer, B. Explanation. True multi-factor authentication requires two or more authentication factors from different categories. Something you know, like a password, something you have, like an RSA token, and something you are, like a fingerprint. In this case, option B combines a password, something you know, with an RSA token, something you have, making it true multi-factor authentication. The other options combine two something you know factors, which does not constitute multi-factor authentication. Question 2. What is the primary purpose of the ticket granting ticket, TGT, in Kerberos authentication? A. It validates the user's identity to the service provider. B. It enables direct communication between the client and the service. C. It allows the client to request service tickets without re-authenticating. D. It encrypts all communication between the client and authentication server. Correct answer, C. Explanation. In Kerberos authentication, the ticket granting ticket, TGT, serves as proof that the client has successfully authenticated to the authentication server. Once a client has a TGT, they can request service tickets from the ticket granting server, TGS, without having to re-authenticate. This is a crucial component of the Kerberos single sign-on functionality. The TGT is encrypted with a key known only to the TGS, contains the client's information, and includes a copy of the client TGS session key. Question 3. A company is implementing a Cloud Access Security Broker, CASB. Which deployment model allows for real-time blocking of security policy violations? A. API-based deployment. B. Network-based deployment. C. Agent-based deployment. D. Hybrid deployment. Correct answer, B. Explanation. A network-based CASB deployment sits between users and cloud services, allowing it to monitor and intercept traffic in real time. This positioning enables the CASB to block policy violations before they reach the cloud service provider. While API-based deployments can monitor cloud services, they typically operate with some delay and cannot block requests in real time since they are not in the direct communication path. This makes network-based deployment the most effective choice for organizations requiring real-time policy enforcement. Question 4. In the context of identity management, what is the relationship between an entity and an identity? A. An entity must have exactly one identity. B. An identity must belong to multiple entities. C. An entity can have multiple identities. D. An identity and entity are always equivalent. Correct answer, C. Explanation. An entity can have multiple identities, as demonstrated in the example where Bob, the entity, has 3 distinct identities: staff member, alumnus, and student. Each identity represents a different role or relationship that the entity has within the organization. This is a fundamental concept in identity management that allows for flexible and granular access control based on the different roles a person might have. The relationship is one-to-many, where one entity can have multiple identities, but each identity belongs to only one entity. Question 5. During an emergency situation, what should a privileged access management PAM solution provide? A. Automatic password rotation. B. Complete system lockdown. C. Emergency access workflow with approval and logging. D. Temporary suspension of all privileged accounts. Correct answer, C. Explanation. A PAM solution should provide an emergency access workflow that allows users to bypass normal privileged access management controls when necessary, but with appropriate safeguards. This includes requiring management approval, logging all emergency access attempts and actions, and ensuring passwords are changed after emergency disclosure. This approach balances the need for emergency access with security requirements by maintaining accountability while providing flexibility for legitimate emergency situations. Question 6. In a SAML authentication scenario, which statement correctly describes the role of the identity provider, IDP? A. It hosts the resource that the user wants to access. B. It is the end user requesting access to the service. C. It provides authentication and identity information to service providers. D. It manages the service-level agreements between parties. Correct answer, C. Explanation: in SAML, security assertion markup language, the identity provider, IDP, is responsible for authenticating users and providing identity information to service providers, SPs. When a user attempts to access a service, the SP redirects them to the IDP for authentication. The IDP verifies the user's identity through authentication mechanisms like username, password, and then creates a SAML assertion that contains the user's identity information. This assertion is sent to the SP to grant access to the requested resource. The IDP serves as the authoritative source for user authentication and identity information in the SAML workflow. Question 7. When implementing Identity as a Service, IDaaS, what is the primary benefit of directory service integration? A. It reduces the cost of cloud storage. B. It enables real-time user provisioning and deprovisioning. C. It eliminates the need for password policies. D. It provides automatic multi-cloud backup. Correct answer, B. Explanation: directory service integration in IDaaS allows organizations to synchronize their user directory, like Active Directory or LDAP, with the cloud service in real time. This synchronization means that when users are added, modified, or removed in the organization's directory, these changes are automatically reflected in the cloud service. This automation streamlines user management, reduces administrative overhead, and enhances security by ensuring timely deprovisioning of access when users leave the organization. Question 8. During the implementation of Single Sign-On, SSO, what is the primary security concern that needs to be addressed? A. Network bandwidth consumption. B. Increased storage requirements. C. Compromise of the initial authentication could grant access to multiple systems. D. Slower system performance. Correct answer, C. Explanation: the main security concern with SSO implementation is that if an attacker compromises the initial authentication credentials or session, they potentially gain access to all connected systems and resources. This creates a single point of failure where one compromised authentication session could lead to a broader security breach. This risk emphasizes the importance of implementing strong initial authentication methods, possibly including multi-factor authentication, and maintaining secure session management practices. Question 9. What is the primary difference between OAuth and OpenID Connect in federated authentication? A. OAuth is newer than OpenID Connect. B. OAuth handles authorization, while OpenID Connect provides authentication. C. OAuth requires more bandwidth than OpenID Connect. D. OAuth works only with cloud services, while OpenID Connect works with all services. Correct answer, B. Explanation: the fundamental difference between OAuth and OpenID Connect is their purpose. OAuth is an authorization protocol that determines what resources a user can access, while OpenID Connect is an authentication protocol built on top of OAuth that verifies the identity of users. OAuth answers the question, what is this user allowed to do? While OpenID Connect answers, who is this user? Understanding this distinction is crucial for implementing the appropriate protocol for your security requirements. Question 10. In a password vault implementation for privileged access management, What is the primary security benefit? A. Passwords are changed less frequently. B. Users can share passwords more easily. C. Actual passwords remain unknown to end users. D. System performance is improved. Correct answer, C. Explanation. The primary security benefit of a password vault in privileged access management is that the actual passwords for privileged accounts remain unknown to the end users. The vault creates and manages these passwords automatically, and users access systems through the vault rather than knowing the actual credentials. This approach enhances security by reducing the risk of password exposure, enables better audit trails of privileged access, and allows for automated password rotation without impacting user access. Question 11. When implementing SAML for web-based SSO, what is the purpose of the security context? A. It stores user passwords. B. It maintains the authenticated session state. C. It manages network bandwidth. D. It handles encryption keys. Correct answer, B. Explanation. In SAML-based SSO, the security context maintains the state of a user's authenticated session. After the identity provider authenticates the user and the service provider validates the SAML assertion, a security context is created to maintain this authenticated state. This allows the user to access multiple resources without re-authenticating during the session lifetime. The security context is crucial for providing a seamless SSO experience while maintaining security. Question 12. During the deprovisioning of user accounts, which timing consideration is most critical for security? A. Ensuring the account is disabled during business hours. B. Coordinating the timing with system maintenance windows. C. Synchronizing the deprovisioning with the user's termination notification. D. Waiting 30 days after termination. Correct answer, C. Explanation. The most critical timing consideration when deprovisioning user accounts is synchronizing the account deactivation with the user's termination notification. If the account is disabled too early, the user might become aware of their pending termination before official notification. If disabled too late, the terminated user might retain access to systems and potentially take malicious actions. This timing requires careful coordination between HR, IT, and security teams to ensure both appropriate notification and immediate access removal upon termination.